Want to circle or anything? Okay. Oh, what air is that? SRQ? Gotcha.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here is JB Buno.
Emergency crews at the scene of a partial train derailment in Florida. You can see here from Eagle 8 HD, 5 total train cars, including a propane tanker, currently on their side. Good afternoon, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Eagle 8 HD with Jack Royer in Eagle 8 HD over the Sarasota County Manatee County line. The latest here from WFLA.com. The South Manatee Fire Rescue Chief saying that approximately 6 Seminole Gulf Railway cars have fallen off their tracks. We're counting 5 here from Eagle. We're going to get some updated information here from officials on the ground. But as we look here, and as Jack Royer has been doing some camera work for us from Eagle, you can see that there is considerable damage to the train tracks themselves as well. And the propane tanker that is on its side, that of course is a concern, but we're being told that infrared is being used to monitor the propane tank and that there are no leaks at this time. This is not considered to be a dangerous situation at present. It is considered to be a safe situation, even though you can see that this was a derailment that caused significant damage to the rail itself. There's Jack highlighting some of the railway damage and some of the damage to the really to the wheels and to the axles of those train cars as we look here at emergency crews, train crews that are right next to it. Jack is in Eagle. Jack, do you have us?
Jack, JB, I hear you loud and clear. As you noted, 5 cars seem to be overturned. One of them is a propane tank car, and I'm not sure if we've gotten reports of an additional car. I'm guessing there is substantial damage to other cars that are not necessarily flipped over. As you can see here, obviously the attachment between cars is flipped over on its side as well. So right now, in terms of cars that are actually off the track, 5 of them. As you note, the fire professionals here say they are monitoring that propane tank car with infrared. They say there's no threat right now at this point, but obviously people's attentions to train derailments are heightened given the situation that has taken place in East Palestine, Ohio in the past few weeks. So one of these cars is a propane tanker. 5 of them have sheet metal and rocks, according to fire officials. As you note, this is the Manatee-Sarasota County line, just to the north of Sarasota's airport, SRQ, for frequent flyers who know the airport codes. So we're told, like you note, that the fire officials say that propane tanker right there is not leaking and at this point is safe. And we should note there are no reports of any injuries with this incident as well. Unclear what exactly caused this, but numerous crews, as you can tell, are on the scene. I'll give you a better shot here as some of these crews sort of examine what's left of the tracks and of these train cars and the axles and the wheels, as you note. But look at those tracks just decimated in this portion, especially almost unrecognizable after this train flipped over.
Jack Royer is with us in Eagle 8 HD. The very latest on this story on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. If you are joining us in a non-live capacity, of course, videos, live streams on the internet, they exist for a time and really a lengthy period of time after we have been live. So updates to this story are coming your way on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I was about to ask you to do exactly just that, Jack, zooming out to the point where we could see the very beginning of this train. Some trains in Florida, elsewhere, can have dozens of cars. I'm not sure exactly how many are within view here, but it
that
appears...
looks to be the engine right there. It looks like it was maybe headed southbound. I'm no train expert, but it looks like it was moving southbound, perhaps. This is right next to what appears to be some sort of industrial park. And again, rocks and sheet metal are in the cars that overturned, along with that propane tanker. So as we work our way down this train, 5 or 6 cars right there. There's the first tanker, and there's the overturned car right there with the crews working alongside it. And then it seems to be about the end of this train. Let's see here. Yeah, a few cars still standing on the tracks, another few propane tankers there near the end of it. But that would appear to be the end of this train right now as we sort of hover here and show you to. I'll pull you back out and show you the wide view one more time. Cars parked right next to this train track. There's a small, looks like a retention pond. So just to the, forgive me for the directions, I think that would be to the east of this track. It looks like this track is running north to south. And again, the engine appears to be headed southbound. And I'll go ahead and show you again just one more time. If folks are just joining us on WFLA Now, you can see the wheels of that train, or at least one of the cars that overturned, literally came off of the wheels, which are still on the tracks. That one is derailed, and then the rest of the cars just flipped on their sides and really ripped up the tracks with it. I mean, look at that. Imagine the force that it would take to bend that metal. It appears that is shifted. Those axles have shifted some in the course of this incident today, and you can see employees are working and sort of assessing the scene. That tree is going to give us a hard time right now showing you the exact spot that seems to be the worst of this. But those tracks, as you can tell, you almost don't recognize where they were. I mean, this pulled the tracks away with the train as it derailed. So again, no threat right now, according to fire officials. No injuries reported here, and no problem with that propane tank at this point. But understandably, people will want to know, want us to follow this story. I mean, look at that. That car completely separated from the other one. You can tell they're just not even connected anymore. Where on the other end, that propane tanker seems to still be connected, albeit on its side.
Some details here from Brittany Muller, who is in talks with emergency officials, saying that right now that the scene is safe. EMS crews are on scene. Public safety workers are on scene. Fire Rescue says that they are the lead agency at this time. And interesting of note, so as far as the cleanup to this process, Brittany reporting from officials that the propane tanks will need to be siphoned off before they can be put upright again and moved from this location. They are confirming no leakage with the propane tanks, including the one that is resting right now on its side. Details, of course, and developments as they occur on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Jack, while we got you in the air and you're manning the camera there for us, any disruptions that you can see from your vantage point to other trains using this particular rail line? Sometimes what we'll see with derailments is whether, behind that particular train, you'll see another train that is stopped. Do you see any disruptions that we can note, at least from your vantage point currently?
I don't. I'll spin the camera around to show you what I can see. Empty track all the way to the north here, just to give you a vantage point before we go back. So, yeah, wide open track for quite a ways, heading down south through the Manatee, or through Sarasota and Manatee counties. So this is right on the line. No other trains, it seems, are waiting or behind this one. And there's the distance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So about 15, 16 cars here, 5 of which are overturned. And you're looking at the totality of this train. And then we'll give you one more view, JB, of what it looks like up close now that we have a better view of this track.
Yeah, the close-up shots here really show just how violent of a derailment this was. Not just damage to the respective wheels to each car, and then also their, each axle that we're seeing here. But look at that shot in particular there, Jack. The amount of earth that just got dug up, the amount of dirt that got dug up here, and you can't even see portions of the rail line there.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, again, I just think about the power and the force it would take to rip an axle of a train off the bottom of the car, with how reinforced those are, obviously. And again, just thankful there's nothing besides sheet metal and rocks in this. But interesting that you note that that propane car that you'll see here in just a second will need to be siphoned off before it can be turned upright. There it sits right there. That's obviously the most concerning thing of this derailment from what we've heard so far. And again, you can tell that has completely come off of its base and off of the tracks for that matter as well.
I found a report here from the Pointer Institute, and they made note of several train derailments, including the one in Ohio that has received a lot of news coverage, of course, due to the lingering effects that have been reported in Ohio. But a couple of other train derailments have been reported just this month alone. Pointer Institute digging up some information about just how common train derailments are. And here in the United States, there's more than 1,000 on average train derailments per year. So train derailments are not out of the ordinary. They have happened here in Florida. We have covered train derailments on WFLA Now before. This one, of course, just occurring, a short time after the one in Ohio, which, of course, has created a lot of concern due to the potential for there being
JB,
lingering environmental and health effects.
I want to give you some perspective here. This employee is leaned up. I wouldn't have been able to tell that track is literally off the ground, but as you can tell, that gentleman is leaning on it. So that track is not only ripped off the ground at all like some of them are, but that one appears to be sticking up in the air. So just shows you the force with which this train derailed.
Pretty incredible, Jack. Yeah, pretty incredible. Again, 15 to 16 roughly cars in this particular train, and 5 of them currently on their side. When it was originally reported to us, we heard 6 cars, the potential for there being 2 tankers impacted, but it's really that one tanker on its side right now that is of concern. We've got Brittany Muller, WFLA's Brittany Muller, who is arriving at the scene. Jack, I don't know if you see a news crew. I don't know if you see Brittany down there, but she's starting to communicate with some of the officials that have responded to this scene. And again, she'll be covering this story for us tonight on air and online on WFLA, as we see some of the crews that have parked up alongside this derailed train. And again, as Jack noted, and as has been reported on WFLA.com, the non-propane tanker, the other train cars, what they're carrying, sheet metal and rocks, according to officials. And then the propane tanker, of course, carrying propane, which is highly flammable and can, I should say, rather, be a danger. However, no leaks have been reported, and they are monitoring that propane tanker with infrared, we've been told, to ensure that there are no leaks. That helps them understand that clearly we don't see any liquid or anything coming from the actual tanker itself. We don't see anything coming out of it clearly. As you can see there, it says liquefied petroleum gas, non-odorized. That's a good shot there from Jack. But also, too, just because we can't see anything coming out of it, you don't know what's going on underneath it, where it's sitting on a lot of rocks and potential debris. But again, we've been told that infrared is being used to monitor the actual structural integrity of the tanker itself to ensure that there are no leaks. And we have been told that there are no leaks at this time and that it is not a danger. It is said to be safe.
And
what will
JB,
have to happen? Yeah, Jack.
I was just going to say we'd be circling this if not for the SRQ airport right here. Obviously, air traffic comes into conflict with our flying, and uh, commercial air traffic takes priority. We can't cross some of these runways here, so that's why we're kind of hovering in one spot. But a pretty good vantage point, and again, just feet away from where these parking spots are, where these employees have come to respond. Looks like a fireman there is. They're going to put up some tape in the parking lot. I'm going to try to get you a shot of that here.
Jack, we're waiting for our ground crew to establish a shot and showing us what this is looking like from the ground, and at that point, there might be a guidance to clear Eagle. Just be advised.
And there's a landmark for you. This is right next to Sunshine Tool, LLC. Just obviously only using that as a landmark for where we are. Just happens to be next door. Just for a landmark of where this train track exactly is.
Are there any railroad crossings within your view, Jack? Any place where any cars would cross over the railway?
Well, I mean, I was just thinking that. I'm not exactly sure what road that is, but this is probably 200 yards away from this railroad crossing right here. So just to give you perspective, there's the railroad crossing. And then if we pull out a little wider to show you, I mean, yeah, I would guess that's a football field or two away from where this occurred. And this is a pretty straight shot, as you can tell, not a curved track or anything. So this happened on a straightaway and just shy of a railroad crossing. Thankfully, obviously not where cars were nearby or anything, and thankfully again to report that there are no injuries associated with this that we know of right now.
Trying to get an address there for you, Jack, for what that and you are looking south, correct? Confirming?
That is correct.
I believe that's going to be the crossing at Talavast Road, if I'm not mistaken.
And just to show you, there's the train track, there's SRQ. So this is we're very close to the airport, just about 2 streets over. So there's SRQ, and then here is this train derailment just very close by.
And again, we do not know if any crossings on this railway had any connection whatsoever to the derailment itself, but just noting some of the characteristics for the railway itself while we're here live on stream. Again, Jack Royer in Eagle 8 HD. JB here with you live on WFLA Now as we look here at some of the workers that are currently at the scene. And this is a great shot here, Jack, because you can see just how warped that rail line is. Violently warped from this vantage point. And I've been told that we're going to have the fire chief speaking here in just a moment. We'll be carrying that live on WFLA Now for a bit of an update.
And so, JB, it looks like they've established some sort of perimeter here. They've blocked off with this yellow tape an area where in this office park, industrial park area, they don't want people going. So they're keeping people back. There seems to be a fire sort of operations center of some sort where Southern Manatee Fire Rescue and some others have set up sort of a response area. So a robust response on the scene here. 2 fire trucks, several, looks like fire marshals types, and there may be where media is staging. In fact, there's Channel 8. There's Brittany Muller getting set up right now on the scene with photojournalist Dave Kraut as well. So they're keeping a healthy distance, but you can see they're not far back from where this is right now.
10-4, we see Brittany there on the ground, and we've got of course. An update coming your way here shortly, folks. The very latest on WFLA.com. The WFLA app, as we zoom in here on that propane tanker, showing, again, that would be the first of the 5 or so cars that derailed, the one that is closest to the front engine. And then the most of the damage to the railway between that third and fourth car. And I believe now that we're getting in a signal from WFLA's Brittany Muller. Let's go to Brittany. Let's bring her in. Brittany, you're joining us here live. What's the very latest from where you're standing?
Hey, JB, we just arrived on scene several minutes ago, and now we have here Chief Robert Bound. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the situation. We know the train derailment, partial derailment, happened on that side. We're away from the scene just to provide a little bit of safety for all of us. But what can you tell us?
Right now what we have is a total of 6 cars that are on their side. 5 of them are box cars that were hauling sheetrock, so there's no immediate threat there. The 6th car that is on its side is a propane tanker, which is full. But it's currently not leaking. We're monitoring it with drones and people on the ground with thermal imaging, and everything so far is pretty good right now. Seminole Gulf Coast Railway are here, their folks, and we are waiting on a mitigation team to figure out how we're going to offload this product.
So will that mitigation team be siphoning off that propane before it gets moved and turned upright?
That would be my guess. They're going to have to do something. It's approximately 30,000 gallons of propane. So you're not dealing with a small amount, so they'll have to offload it to adjust the ballast weight of it to be able to get it upright.
Has your agency seen anything like this in this county before?
Not this bad. We've never had 6 cars. We've had trains dump the tracks and things like that, but never overturned, especially a propane tanker.
And thankfully, we're hearing that there's no injuries. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's no injuries that we know of. There is a homeless encampment about 700 feet to the north and on the east side of the tracks over there, and we did send personnel over there to advise them what's going on. But as far as we know, no injuries are reported right now to rail workers or on the homeless.
Chief, can you talk to us about your crews, the safety of your crews during this time? We know there's propane, we know there's a big scene out there, so how do you protect your crews in a situation like this?
Well, we rely on our training and our specialists. We run the hazmat team for the county. So Southern Manatee is in charge of that, and that's who's on scene over here. We have personnel that are very highly trained with some very specialized equipment, and they're advising us constantly and monitoring the situation, again, with drones and people on the ground. So their training will make sure that we all remain in a safe area.
How many crews do you have on scene right now?
Right now we have 5 crews, but without any work going on to the tanker currently, we're probably going to release 1 and maintain 3 on scene.
Okay, thank you. And when did this happen? When did you get notified?
I was notified around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and we came here, so time's kind of gotten away from us. I'm not really staring at my clock, but we've been here for a couple hours now.
Of course. And tell me a little bit about this commerce center. This is near where the derailment happened. It happened near a commerce center of Sarasota, Bradenton. What is this area?
It is all commercial. There are a bunch of businesses throughout here. It varies on the style and type of business, but it is 100% occupied, all 5 of these buildings, including the one up front, which would make 6. So there's several hundred people in these buildings, and we've all given them pre-warning in the event that we have to evacuate. They will have to evacuate immediately.
I understand this is under investigation, but any indication on what caused this partial train derailment?
Not at this moment. It would just be speculation to try to guess that. It just appears that for all intents and purposes, it was an accident, but until the FRA, FDOT, and Seminole Rail conduct their investigations, we won't really have an answer.
And we understand that your agency is the lead agency on scene, but we also know Manatee County is here assisting. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Manatee County, anytime we have a very large-scale operation, the emergency management becomes involved, and we've had them out here, and EMS is also out here with their command bus and things, because it's going to be a very long event, anywhere from 1 day to 3 days, depending.
Oh, wow. Okay. We also see the Seminole Gulf Railway police are out here, the state officers. How do they assist, and what do they do here?
Basically, they're in charge. I don't know the exact distance from the track, but on the track is their jurisdiction. So they have a requirement to be here to monitor the rail and see if they can figure out if anything happened or if anyone was immediately obviously at fault, and they'll take it from there. So we don't have any real interaction with them as far as they're concerned.
And what kind of train is this? Is it Amtrak? Is it CSX? Or do we know?
It is Seminole Gulf Coast Rail.
Oh, okay.
It's their own railway, and the
okay.
owner is on scene now. So he just got here a few minutes ago, so he'll need a little bit of time to kind of get his thoughts together and figure out what's going on.
Right, right. And so we're, again, away from the scene. We can't really see because of just all the trees back there. But tell us what you see back there and what kind of it looks like.
It looks like a minefield. Honestly, the cars that are on their side, it was in motion when it happened, so it wasn't just a tip over. They really dug in, and the tracks are pulled up and torn up, and the trucks are still, some of them are on the track still, and the cars are on their sides. So right now, that's about what it looks like. It is a bad scene, so we'll just have to see how it goes from here.
So your agency is going to be on here maybe through the night, through tomorrow, the next day potentially?
Potentially, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to share just as this investigation continues?
Just as of right now, there is no real emergency. We're standing by in the event that there becomes one. Right now, the tanks are all sealed. They're not leaking. There's no evidence of any damage to them that would cause a leak. So we're just monitoring the situation. The real potential will be when they come to offload the product. That will be when we really have to monitor the situation very closely to ensure there's no actual leakage.
When that happens, these buildings and the people, the hundreds of people that are here working, will they be evacuated from their businesses?
Good possibility, just given the potential of the scene. We want to ensure everybody's safety first and foremost, so we probably will evacuate the buildings up to the front on 15th Street just for however long it's going to take them to offload the product.
One more question for you. Talk about the technology, about the thermal cameras that you're using and the drones and how this has helped you.
Oh, it gives you an aerial view. It's great, so we can get up in the air. We can monitor levels. The drones can carry small equipment for monitoring gas levels and everything. We can get all that. We can get the bird's eye view, see downstream. That's where we were able to locate the homeless camp, is through the air, and it just gives us constant monitoring of the situation.
Wonderful. Chief Bounds, thank you so much for your time. We're so appreciative that no one was injured. And of course, we'll be here on scene. We'll be showing you aerials from Eagle 8 HD, as well as bringing you live developments here on WFLA Now, as well as Channel 8, as our newscast will begin in about 2 hours. So of course, for now, I'll send it back to you, JB.
Brittany Muller reporting for us on the ground there at the train derailment site. Thank you, Brittany. We'll, of course, be looking for your on-air reports tonight on WFLA. Let's go back to Eagle 8 HD. Let's check in one last time, if we can, with Eagle 8 HD's Jack Royer. Jack, before we clear Eagle from the scene, any other observations, any other notes as you're over this train derailment at the Sarasota County-Manatee County line?
JB, it looks like obviously the investigation is already beginning. This gentleman is taking photographs, measuring some things. It seems they've made some marks on the tracks with spray paint. I didn't observe them do that here. I assume that's part of the investigation. I don't see them anywhere else on the track or can think of a reason why they would be doing that. So the investigation seems to be beginning already, and we're just thankful to report no one was hurt.
Jack Royer in Eagle 8 HD for us. Jack, thanks for pulling double duty for us today. And of course, make sure you get back safe and sound to Tampa. And we'll be, of course, talking with you when you're back here on the ground again in Tampa.
Thanks, JB.
All right, Jack Royer for us. Folks, JB here with you live on WFLA Now as we look here at one last time at Eagle at that propane tanker there at the front, plus 4 additional cars there towards the rear. all updates on this story, any additional information, of course, we'll be posting your way on WFLA.com. There is no doubt that there is a heightened sense of awareness given what is happening in Ohio with the train derailment situation there. Of course, there have been so many different people visiting, from the governor being on the ground there to so many other officials talking about what kind of lingering environmental and health impacts there are to the water there in Ohio as a result of that train derailment. This train derailment appearing as of right now not to be any threat to the community whatsoever. The propane tanker that was there does not have any leaks, according to the crews there on the ground that have responded. If there was a leak, there would be, of course, far more urgent of a situation. You would see a lot more attention being paid to that propane tanker. But it seems as if right now that the derailment just led to the actual propane tanker and the rest of these derailed cars just falling on their side without much structural damage to those cars, even though the other cars, the ones that are carrying that, the sheetrock, or excuse me, what exactly were the contents of it? Let me make sure I have this correctly from WFLA.com. Yeah, sheet metal and rocks that were inside those other cars. It's good to know that that even if there is structural damage to those cars, it doesn't pose any threat to the public as we understand it. But we're going to be following up on this story. Brittany Muller's on the ground, going to be talking to a lot of crews. We're going to see if the owner of the actual rail car is going to, if they choose to speak. We'll have that tonight on WFLA News Channel 8 as well as on WFLA.com. And so we'll have that on your NBC station right here in Tampa Bay, WFLA News Channel 8 on your side. Thanks so much for joining us here on WFLA Now. If you're joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, you can click on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you over to our corresponding article where we have updated information from the WFLA.com team, and Brittany's live reports will be added there as well as the night progresses and as we learn more about how exactly they're going to clean this up at the Sarasota County, Manatee County line. From the Stream Center, I'm JB. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on WFLA Now.